welcome. It's Tuesday, 20th May 2025. Mental health is real. Seek help. End the stigma. On the news this evening, former Rivers Council chairman dismisses peace talk over failure of Governor Fubara to publicly apologize. Security experts react to Rivers Police Commissioner's approval of local security network. Federal government to auction houses recovered from Emefiele. On the foreign scene, UK summons Israeli ambassador over Gaza offensive. I am Constance Irele-Mega with the news. A former chairman of Emoha local government area, Dr. Chidi Lloyd, says there can be no meaningful reconciliation in Rivers State without justice. Lloyd spoke in an interview with our correspondent while reacting to speculations that the political rift between FCT Minister Nyesom Wike and suspended Governor Siminalayi Fubara may have been resolved. He claimed that Governor Fubara is yet to implement the terms and conditions set by the FCT Minister, which he said includes a public apology to the former chairman of the Rivers State Council of Traditional Rulers, Oha Sergeant Awusi, members of the State House of Assembly, former local government chairman, among others.
I've heard people bandy the word reconciliation over the minister and Mr. Fubara about settling and so on. But I think that there cannot be any meaningful reconciliation without justice. People are confusing the fact that it is not the FCC minister that was wounded in this imbroglio. And that was why the FCC minister kept hammering on structure. So there are equally agreed persons. I am equally agreed. All of my other colleagues are agreed because we are in campaign coordinators. So let us not speak peace of the great guy. Let us speak genuine peace.
Well, Lloyd also said the governor is yet to show genuine commitment to peace. Meanwhile, an advocate of good governance, Chioma Choko, has criticized a recent comment by the Rivers State Sole Administrator, retired Vice Admiral Ibokete Ibas, in which he claimed to be laying a solid foundation for the state. We're speaking to our correspondent, Choko, who is also a lawyer, said the Sole Administrator appears to be drifting from his primary mandate of promoting peace among the warring political factions. Well, he said Rivers people are yet to see any concrete steps taken by the Sole Administrator towards reconciliation. Well, Chioma Choko called on the Sole Administrator to work with relevant stakeholders to restore lasting peace in the state.
It is important to understand that the very basic reason for which the Sole Administrator was sent to Rivers State is to ensure that peace and orderliness or perceived conflict among the political gladiators in the state is restored to its original state. Anything that is not within the purview of restoring peace among the political gladiators is actually the ambit of the very basic responsibility of the Sole Administrator. When you begin to appoint Sole Administrators for local government council, means that you are now beginning to play politics and now begin to usurp the powers of the elected governor of the state.
In the meantime, a Lagos-based political analyst, Liberos Oshoma, says it is time for former Vice President Atiku Abubakar to quit politics and support Peter Obi in the 2027 election. Oshoma said this following reports that Mr. Obi has been offered the vice presidential ticket under the ongoing coalition talk While speaking with correspondent Sebiu Ruwari, Oshoma advised Obi to decline any offer to be the running mate of Atiku.
I don't know why Atiku wants to be on the ballot at all costs. Atiku's political journey has ended with Buhari's presidency. Peter Obi will be making the greatest mistake of his time by teaming with Atiku to become running mate to Atiku. Except he teams with Atiku and Atiku supports him to be president. But going back to Atiku, going back to his Bami, after he has left to stand on his own and he went the whole hog and saw the support that people gave him, he will be taking the Nigerian teaming youth who supported him for a ride if he goes to join Atiku for 2027.
But a former commissioner for employment in Rivers State, Dr. Lelo Nunwi-Bubasa, has a different opinion, saying the joint ticket will benefit the Southeast.
For an Obi ticket with Atiku, it is not just an advantage to Obi himself, it is the greatest advantage to the people of the Southeast. For the Southeasterners to become president in Nigeria, they need an Obi Atiku ticket. If Bola Ahmed Tinubu is allowed to run a second tenure, what that means is that power will rotate back to the North, and then the North will hold 8 years. So when power comes back to the South, that's when the Igbos will be thinking of being president. And that would be unfair for a major tribe of the country not to be allowed to test the presidency. So for them to test the presidency, I think this is the time that the Igbos should rally around Obi, clamor for his joint ticket with Atiku Abubakar.
In other news, a pipeline surveillance guard known as Mr. Kings says a suspect has been identified as the culprit behind yesterday's oil spill in Oshika community in Aoda. In a telephone interview with correspondent Sebiu Ruwari, Kings detailed how investigators linked the individual to the incident, and he said efforts are on to secure the damaged line.
We detected a spill on the line. We went there to see what it caused. So we discovered two saw blades left on the scene. So when we discovered there was an excavation. Upon investigation, we were able to find out that the bander that is suspended the surveillance guard. When I did sabotage it, inquiring in communication with one of he asked him some questions on how much they're paying them in Ahoda West and how much Ahoda East. I said even his own community are aware that he was responsible. He has done the first one. He did it last year. He was arrested and released, and they suspended him from work. This one again, he's responsible for it.
Another oil pipeline surveillance guard in the area also spoke on efforts to arrest the suspects.
I just heard that one boy go and vandalize the pipeline. We as indigenous, the right person to give you information are indigenous. And for this area, otherwise, now we roll our otherwise. So nothing will happen. We will not go no. Except at the surveillance, just that the little money they are giving to us, the money is not big. They advise my people, make them know they bought a pipeline. So this boy now we go and do that the finance. I don't tell the government so that let them finance me. So I tell make them proclaim so that if you go find out the person will do that thing so that next time another person will go temper.
Well, yesterday there was another oil spill in Oshika community in Ahoda West local government area 2 weeks after an oil spill occurred in another community in the same Ahoda. Meanwhile, the Zonal Office of the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency, NOSDRA, in Port Harcourt, says it will soon carry out a joint investigation visit at the fresh oil spill at Oshika. A source disclosed this to our correspondent while also confirming the oil spill in the area. And moving on, a youth leader in Ahoda East local government area of Rivers State, Mr. Hector Ekakita, says for local vigilante groups to be effective, members must be properly profiled and allowed to bear firearms. Ekakita, who is also the Chief Security Officer of Ahoda East, told correspondent Emeka Otuka that vigilante members are often targets of criminals and gangs because they lack adequate protection.
Local vigilantes by various communities is a welcome development, but where it will not be conducive. You don't just set up a committee without doing proper profiling because it will cause more havoc as time goes on. And what kind of arms are they going to carry? The locally made arms or English made? Because you don't expect them, when they see criminals, then they will only use their knife or clothes to hide them. What if somebody carries AK-47? What do you do? You call police, by the time police get there and the lack of nothing has been taken. What do? You control the family.
Ekakita also noted that there is need for proper funding of vigilante groups. Similarly, the commander of the Diobu Vigilante Security Service, Mr. Amatari Bipiladi, says the approval of the local security network will help complement efforts of the police in addressing insecurity in Rivers State. While speaking on Nigeria Info FM's Morning Crossfire, Bipiladi said the level of insecurity in the state is overwhelming for the police alone to handle.
It is only senior police officers that are ready to fight crime can come with such statements. So his statement is in the right direction, and that should tell you his level of proactiveness, competence, professionalism in discharge of his duty. For police to reduce distress call on them, the complementary roles of the vigilantes are very, very important. Most times distress calls that ought to come to the police come to the vigilante, and vigilante complement before the arrival of the police, or vigilante complement or vigilante act and hand over to the police. So it reduces the pressure on the police.
Speaking on the prevalent issue of human rights abuses by some vigilante personnel, Amatari blamed it on lack of funding and monitoring.
It is a known fact that Rivers State government at all levels, when I talk about government at all levels, I'm talking about both the states and the local government, it is a known fact that they have never encouraged the services vigilante. How much is the salary of a local security man? Yes, it is a voluntary thing, but even in the voluntary services, you used materials for short services. So how do they get funds to equip themselves in their service delivery? When you fund a security outfit very well, and when that security outfit knows that it's being funded, rules and regulations will be given to them.
Recalls that the Commissioner of Police in Rivers State, Olubenga Adekboju, during a stakeholders meeting in Kana local government area, asked them to establish a local security network to support the police. Still to come, federal government to auction houses recovered from Emefiele. Stay tuned.
Here's Messi, away from 2, 3, 4, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. How good
Public Relations of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, Mr. Manzo Ezekiel, says the planned sensitization and advocacy visits by NEMA officials to some flood-prone communities in Rivers State and other states will involve evacuation drills. Mr. Ezekiel said this while updating correspondent Onyeka Chinwosu about the forthcoming visit.
It's so appalling that
our outstation offices have been carrying out flood sensitization. So the deployment to all the states is to strengthen the ongoing sensitization by including advocacy. It's not all the community, but to some of the communities. And the communities that this team will visit is going to be determined by SEMA, which community that the advocacy will go. Go to the community, discuss with them, and carry out like an evacuation drill, a practical drill about flood response.
On the non-existence of a state of emergency management agency in Rivers State, the NEMA spokesperson said the agency will liaise with its zonal office in Rivers State to determine where to visit. But he also explained that NEMA's visit to flood-prone communities is not to construct IDP camps or to provide relief materials.
What we're doing is to sensitize the people, to prepare the people ahead of the flood. We are not working on a building or creating IDP camp, but we want the people to be informed, to be empowered with relevant information that will assist them to avoid being flooded or affected by the flooding. So in that case, if the people know what they are supposed to do ahead of flood, by God's grace, maybe they may even escape the situation that may create the need for IDP camp. We're not bringing relief material, but we're coming to relate with the people.
Some students, mainly of the University of Port Harcourt, living at Choba Extension in Alakahia Obiakpo local government area of Rivers State, have cried out over the frequent theft and destruction of the transformer in the area. Speaking with our correspondent, some of them who expressed outrage after the transformer was vandalized and all gadgets stolen for the third time in 3 years, said the situation is affecting their academics. Now they say they can no longer continue to pay for the purchase and installation of the transformer and still remain in darkness.
it's so appalling that we cannot have electricity to do what we need to do as students. Even to have water to bathe has been a very, very serious issue. We can't even charge our gadgets. So we are compelled to take our gadgets to business centers where we need to pay for these things to be charged. Some of my friends, they were complaining the other day that their grades in school have been affected and drastically because of this situation. And it's quite understandable because when you cannot read properly, there is no life for you to read. I'm actually using this opportunity to call on the government to step in to help take care of this situation.
Light has been so bad that most times we go to fetch water outside. So me as a student, I come to complain. Here us, let there be consistent light for we students. I can't even read at home because there's no light. I have to go to night class all the time, which is not actually safe.
Well, one of the community leaders, Mr. Innocent Wow, said the frequent destruction and theft of the transformer could not have been possible without the involvement of an expert. And he appealed to the government and other agencies to help the community with new transformers.
We are moved to conclude, unfortunately, that there must be something somewhere happening. We're almost thinking that there is somebody in PHED who is doing this thing. And we think that security agencies should find out, investigate. It's curious. We demand to know. We are not happy. We are in darkness. We cannot continue to be buying transformer, installing, donate it to PHED, install it, pay bills.
The Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Ahmed Dangiwa, says the ministry will sell the houses recovered from the former chairman of CBN, governor of CBN, Godwin Emefiele, to the public and for special government needs. The minister said this while taking delivery of a 753-unit housing estate from the chairman of the EFCC. The news continues after this break.
Church of Nigeria, Anglican Communion, Diocese of Ikwere joyfully invites the general public to the third
The UK has suspended trade talks with Israel and summoned the Israeli ambassador over what it calls the intolerable offensive in Gaza. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer says the UK is horrified by the escalation from Israel, while Foreign Secretary David Lammy says the war is entering a dark new phase. Well, that's the news, but before we go, let's take a look at the highlights. On the news this evening, you heard that a former Rivers Council chairman, Chidi Lloyd, has dismissed peace talks over the failure of Governor Fubara to publicly apologize. And security experts have reacted to the Rivers Police Commissioner's approval of local security network. The federal government is to auction houses recovered from former CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele. And on the foreign scene, the UK has summoned the Israeli ambassador over Gaza offensive. The news was edited by Onyeka Chinwosu. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808-721-7215. I'm Constance Irele Mega. Thank you so much for listening.